You're listening to the Public Health Entrepreneurs Podcast with your host, Dr. Charlotte Huntley. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this episode. On this podcast, we explore topics of interest for professionals at the intersection of public health and entrepreneurship. My name is Dr. Charlotte Huntley, and I'm really happy that you've decided to join me on this episode. I say that every single episode, and I don't want you to take it lightly if you've been listening for a while. I really mean that. I know that you could be doing any number of things, but you've decided to tune in, and I'm really thrilled. I'm a public health entrepreneur. I have over 25 years of experience in healthcare and public health, and I've helped so many entrepreneurs along this journey. I've also been podcasting since 2017, so I'm a huge fan of this platform for reaching, serving, and sharing with folks information and just building relationships. If you are listening to this episode on or near the time that it's released, then there's still time for you to sign up for our exclusive workshop. Are you ready to make your side hustle your full-time gig? Well, attention consultants and entrepreneurs who are juggling a full-time job alongside your business. If your goal is to leave your current job and work for yourself full-time, or if you've been wondering how this path of making the transition to full-time entrepreneurship, how do they do that? How is it even possible? Does it feel like it's unclear? Does it seem unclear to you? Well, you're not alone. I've been there and I've successfully made the leap. Over the years, I've guided countless professionals like you to become full-time entrepreneurs, and now it's your turn. We are preparing a 5-day game-changing workshop to help you in two ways. One, you get to explore all of your options, or most of your options. I hate to say all because you can't explore all of your options. But the second thing that you'll be able to do is also develop a personalized strategy to achieve this entrepreneurial milestone. And it's important to emphasize the personalized strategy because there's no one size fits all, but that's why we're spending 5 days on this to really dive in and help you figure out what that looks like for you and how to accomplish that. Don't miss this opportunity to transform your side hustle into your main hustle. Now, here's how you can secure your spot, assuming that you're listening to this during the time that it's still open and available. If you're receiving emails from us, if we send an email to you to let you know about new episodes, then check your inbox because you may have already received an invitation to sign up for this workshop that I'm talking about. Also, check the link in the description for this episode and you'll find the registration details. Now, your entrepreneurial future is waiting. So let's make this happen together. On this episode today, I would like to share with you, I've actually narrowed this down to 5 essential quarterly goals for entrepreneurs. Now, to be even more specific, although I titled this a little broad because I think you can apply what I'm going to share with you to any quarter of the year, but I'm especially excited about Q4. So fourth quarter of the year, which is October, November, and December. This is actually my favorite quarter of the year. So in our group mastermind program, our mastermind group program, we had a little conversation going, and I mentioned that I was excited about Q4 and that this was my favorite quarter of the year. And one of our members asked me, well, tell me, why is it your favorite quarter? So I started a little bit of a deep dive into this. So there's 2 reasons for me. I think I like the idea or the feeling of finishing strong. I think this last quarter of the year is the chance to hit those revenue goals or to try something different or to tweak something or to whatever the goal you set for the year. This is like that last leg of the race, your chance to put that final touch and that bit of effort in to finish strong. I like the idea of being able to finish strong. And then the second reason I really like it is I do all of my strategic planning for the next year so that I get to assess what's worked, what hasn't worked, and get ready for the next year. I like going into the new year already having my goals set and with clear vision so that I hit the ground running in January. I don't want to wait till January to set my goals. I like to do it in Q4. And then I take a break at the very end of the year and rest and relax. And then I come back, like I said, hitting the ground running. None of that first quarter goes to waste. I hit in January with like very clear vision. So those are probably the two main reasons I think that I like Q4 as my favorite quarter of the year. So like I said, what I'm going to share, you can probably apply to any quarter of the year. So perhaps you're listening to this in the summer. You're thinking, I have to wait till the end of the year to apply this. No, you can apply at any time. But it is just, there's some things that are really specific to Q4. So you may apply these some of the other quarters of the year, but also bring them into Q4. So I narrowed it down to 5 to keep it manageable for this episode. And I'm going to go through them a little quickly, but I think that it won't be too fast. Okay. So no specific order. But here we have the first one. Review and adjust annual targets. Now, these are what I'm considering 5 things that I'd like for you to be able to do to finish strong. And, these are 5 things to consider or 5 goals or tips for your Q4. Okay. So review and adjust your annual targets. Again, the annual targets, I'm talking about your goals for the year. What progress have you made so far toward those objectives or that goal? And where's the gap? What strengths do you have moving into the end of the year to hit that goal? Are you close? Do you feel far away? And what would be a successful pivot if you decide that you wanted to pivot a little bit to change that for the end of the year? I mean, you can change your goals. It's up to you. I like a strong finish. I like to push and try and tweak. I think there's that little bit of energy there, but this is a great time to review and adjust any targets, your goals that you have for the end of the year. Number 2, reflect and learn. How did you do so far this year? What worked well? What could you improve upon? Turn some lessons into actionable insights. You may have stumbled and fallen in your mind and your own thoughts. You may think of like, oh, that wasn't successful. I messed this up. Well, maybe you can just turn it around. And what did you learn from that situation that didn't turn out the way that you thought it was going to turn out? This is a great opportunity to do that. Also, what really worked? I think we use the phrase data-driven decisions, but truly this is the time, this is your business and this is, you're the entrepreneur. Look at the data. The data doesn't lie. So what really worked? You may think that doing this activity, maybe you didn't like it or in your mind, you can convince yourself, well, that didn't really work. That really wasn't successful. But look at the analytics. Was it successful? How are you defining that? Because in order to continue to do what is moving the needle and what is helping to attract more clients and serve your clients and create happy clients, that's what you want to do more of. If it's time consuming and getting you lost and not really productive, look at the analytics, what's working. I'll give you a podcast example. This podcast is new for this year, but my other podcast I've had since 2017. So with that longer history, we go back and we look at the analytics of these episodes and we look at which ones are people gravitating toward. Those topics give us a real good clue about what people like to hear a lot of. We also look at, well, what kinds of comments are we getting? What feedback are we receiving from our community? What are they telling us that we need? And we want to do what's working. We want to do more of that. Look at maybe I'll think of conferences because that's been top of mind lately, but maybe you attended some conferences this year. Look back and decide, how much did it cost you to attend? You may have been aggravating and frustrating. You may have like some negative memories if you just trust your memories on this, but look back and decide how many new leads came out of that. How many new people did you connect with? Did you get any clients? Did any of those relationships that you started at those conferences lead to any clients? And that can give you a pretty good indication of that's what I mean by data-driven decisions. If you're making a decision to go to that conference again or to continue conferences, maybe you went to 5 conferences and you were able to get X number of clients from those efforts, then that's how you make decisions. Not like, oh, I didn't like that because the people were mean. Not necessarily that alone. I want you to really think about making data-driven decisions. So you have data all around you that support or that give you insight into actions that you've taken in your business. So take a look at that and make decisions as you reflect and learn. Data-driven decisions as you reflect and learn. So number 3, plan for the upcoming year. This is the part I get so excited about. The importance of early planning. If you have a team, get your team involved in this, both the reflecting part, but also the planning. sometimes your team members will have some great ideas about what they see from their perspective, what would work, or some ideas about something we could try differently. I think it's wonderful to engage your team in this planning for the upcoming year. Plan early. If you think about conferences, for example, those dates are set so far in advance. You can do a lot of that planning at the end of the year, decide how many conferences you want to attend the next year. And if there's some absolute must attends, get them on your calendar. Like, these are things that you can start planning for the next year. And so in general, in that time of Q4, it's a great period to do some planning for the next year. Even if you don't know how exactly which conferences you want to go to, but you want to attend some, set an intention, sort of describe or draft where you'd like to go, and start to put a little bit of that in place so that you're not making decisions at the last minute, afterthoughts, or you miss a deadline because you weren't aware of it. Okay. So number 4, strengthen customer relationships. I really had to throw that one in there. That one's near and dear to my heart. If you did not hear the previous podcast episode 58, please take a moment and go back and listen to that one as soon as you can, because I spent the whole episode focused on the customer relationships, client relationships, and that importance. So this is a great time in Q4 to think about some customer appreciation initiatives. I mean, my team and I have already started some of those ideas. We have a list of ideas. We just don't do a whole bunch of things at the same time. So while we're working on our workshop delivery that's coming up soon, and then we've got enrollment opening for our new members, people that have applied for the Mastermind Group program, that's coming up soon. They'll get a chance to bring in new members. So as we are planning all of these things, we're thinking about the things that we want to do for customer appreciation. And we have some really great ideas for the end of this year, but also going into next year, some great things that we want to be doing. So think about that for your business and for your community in Q4, and plan, look at what you've done well in that category, and then think about what you want to continue going into next year. You can get some great feedback also from your community and your customers as well. It's a great way to strengthen loyalty. With my first podcast, I often describe my audience as a loyal group of listeners, because a lot of people have told me over the years, they listened to that podcast, it got them through grad school. And sometimes they'll come in listening to it as a student, and they go through school, get their degree, they work a few years, and then they are still listening to the podcast. And I just love to hear that. And so think about how you can build customer loyalty through this, this whole strengthening of relationships. So that is my number 4 tip for Q4, which is also a great one that you can implement in any quarter. But my last tip for you on this is invest in team development. So if you have a team, or even if you don't have a team, but you know that that's a goal for you in the future, you can start to think about how you would invest in your team. I think that year-round training and skill building is important. We've identified a few trainings for my team. At least I've mentioned it to them, but I have that specifically in mind for them. But I also talk to them about what they would like to dive more deeply into and learn more about. We have various softwares in our business that we use we really rely on them, for example. And we have some team members that really gravitate to certain apps or software than others. So I'm giving the opportunity for them to sort of master some of those platforms. You need someone that is really skilled at all of the things that these softwares and programs can do for you. So that's just one example of how you can get your team involved. But I think, I personally think it's important to create a culture of continuous learning and include yourself in that. Now, I'm not recommending you go down a rabbit trail and get caught up in something that will take away from the other activities of you as the business owner, the CEO, or the leader of your organization. But maybe it's something that sharpens your leadership skills and qualities. But I think that this culture of continuous learning is a great positioning for us as entrepreneurs in public health, especially. So just to recap, and just so you know, this was very difficult to narrow down, but just to recap, number 1 was review and adjust your goals. Number 2 is reflect and learn. Number 3 was plan for the upcoming year. And number 4 was strengthen customer relationships. And also remember to go back to episode 58 for a deep dive on that. And then number 5, invest in team development. And then if you're a team of 1, then invest in yourself. I really hope that this has been helpful for you. Now, I host a live strategic planning session with members of my mastermind group program at the very beginning of December. And we do a deep dive into some of the steps that I've touched on here in this episode, but we really do a deep dive into Q4 development and strategic planning. And it helps our members to customize a strategy for accomplishing their business goals, the ones that they set for their business in the new year. The experience is always transformative, and it always is a lot of fun for me to lead this and to support entrepreneurs in this way. So if you are going to be coming into our program, if you're planning to enroll, become a member of our mastermind group program, then you will be able to participate in this live strategic planning session with us at the beginning of December. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about our mastermind program in case you have not heard of it before. It is best suited for established public health entrepreneurs. So you're already in business. You're at some level, you have a customer or client, you've already gotten started. We work together online and also gather together in person for a 2-day retreat twice a year. We have had entrepreneurs travel from all over to attend the retreats. And the one that we have coming up in February is in San Diego. It'll be in San Diego, California. So if you're joining in this next cohort, you'll get the strategic planning in December, and then you'll get to you have the opportunity to attend the retreat with us in San Diego in February. It's going to be phenomenal. Enrollment, like I said, is only open twice a year. So June and December. If you miss the opportunity to enroll in December, then the next opportunity will be in June of next year for you to enroll. And we only open enrollment to people who have submitted an application. So if you would like to know more about our mastermind group program, I encourage you to visit our website and look at all the information. We put a lot of information there for you to get a full understanding, and then submit an application from that page if you're interested. That's how we know you're interested, is if you submit that application. We go through that, and then my team follows up, and we want to make sure that all of your questions are answered. We share a little bit more detail with you. Make sure that you have everything you need to be able to make a decision, so that when enrollment opens, if we see that that's a good fit for the community, if you think it's a good fit for you and we agree on this side, then you have the opportunity to join us. And we're excited about that. So the link to our website will be in the description of this episode, as well as the link to the workshop that I mentioned at the top of the episode, in case you're interested in one or the other or both. All right? I'm excited about that. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that this has been helpful. And until next time, have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for listening. Visit publichealthentrepreneurs.com to learn more.